It was out-and-out sex and out of the question to even suggest it get airplay on white stations. Georgia Gibbs changed the approach to Dance With Me, Henry.
Hey, baby, what do I have to do to make a hit with you?
You gotta dance with me, Henry.
All right, baby.
Dance with me, Henry.
Don't mean maybe.
Rock with me, Henry.
Any old time.
Talk to me, Henry.
Don't change your mind.
Dance with me, Henry.
All right.
You better dance while the music goes on. Roll on, roll on, roll on while the cats are bawling. You better stop your stalling. It's intermission in a minute. So you better get with it. Dance with me, Henry. You better dance while the music goes on. Roll on, roll on, roll on. Ooh, Henry, you ain't moving me. You better feel that boogie beat and get the lead out of your feet. You gotta dance with me, Henry. Dance with me, Henry. Rock with me, Henry. Talk to me, Henry. Dance with me, Henry. You gotta dance while the music goes on. Hello, 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 hello. Rock, 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 rock. Hello, hello, hello. Roll on, roll on, roll on. Rock with me, Henry.
All right, baby.
Dance with me, Henry.
Don't mean maybe.
Rock with me, Henry.
Any old time.
Dance with me, Henry.
Don't change your mind.
Jump with me, Henry.
All right.
You better dance, dance, while the music goes on.
Rock!
This time, the song got airplay. Work With Me, Annie, alias Dance With Me, Henry, shows just how ridiculous the white censorship thing was and how much power the radio stations held in 1954. It was pure prejudice based on ignorance and lack of foresight. The MOR stations continued to shine, completely oblivious to the massive change shadowing the horizon. A new method had come into being. In the past, good songs had been the secret of success. With the emergence of rock and roll, it was the performance that mattered most.
In the meantime,
Les Paul recognized this and was making it happen. He had come up with overdubbing techniques in the studio and was making use of the electric guitar. He amplified the music, making it as loud as its reputation.
so the first thing I did was to build a pickup. And in building this pickup, it was mighty crude. It evolved from an earphone, one of my crystal set earphones. And I held it over a string, and it reproduced the sound. I says, well, if it does it with one, it'll do it with six. So if I can duplicate this over under each string, I will have it. And then I finally made one that went under all six strings, and that became the pickup.
The barbarians were at the gate. Wild men with voices like thunder and a music that would demolish everything Tin Pan Alley held sacred. The temple would be torn down and a new one raised. Small independent record companies saw the writing on the wall and snatched up these new musicians, stockpiling them till the right day came. In a matter of months, teenage frustrations would have their release. There would be new ideas, new dreams, and radio, the medium they said would be rendered obsolete by television, would prosper like never before. The pioneers had come in sight of the promised land. The stage had been set for an enormous explosion of musical energy. It was New Year's Eve, 1954. Rock and roll history was in the making. Things would never be the same again. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the evolution of rock, the music that made the world turn round. 1955, and the rock era begins.
1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock.
And in 55, as the slogan "Keep Pop Alive" is sung by the masses, millions of younger North Americans rally around a new theme, chanting the slogans of a new generation and a new time. And the song that says it all is a blockbuster from Bill Haley and the Comets called "Rock Around the Clock." 1955, from Fats Domino to the McGuire Sisters, and from Bo Diddley to the Ballad of Davy Crockett. 1955 is the year of Bermuda shorts, coonskin caps, and the Mickey Mouse Club.
Mickey Mouse Club.
1955 brings faster cars, full skirts, and a fetish for Joe Friday, and a TV show called Dragnet. And while the new year begins to blossom, many clung steadfastly to the music of the 40s as the big bands continued to dominate. 1955, the year that Rocky Marciano defends his boxing title twice. The New York Yankees lose the World Series in 7 games to the Brooklyn Dodgers. And Groucho Marx immortalizes the TV show and the words, "You Bet Your Life."
And now, here he is, the one, the only.
1955, the year of polio vaccines and slumber parties, of engineer boots, two-tone paint jobs, and tubeless tires. 1955, the year that Tennessee Ernie Ford carries off 16 tons, Chuck Berry charges up Maybelline, and Mitch Miller makes it big with the Yellow Rose of Texas. 1955, from Little Willie John to Roger Williams, and of course the ever-present Platters. 1955, the year they said rock and roll would never last.
1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock.
1955,
5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, rock.
birthplace of the rock revolution.
9, 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, rock.
Unveiling of the teenage national anthem.
We're gonna rock around the clock tonight.
When 1955 poked its head into our bedrooms, it found us with our ears glued to the record player, playing it loud.
Hearts made of stone will never break me for the love you ever did. But just one day you can ask him, please, 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 beg, and all your love is empty. It's hard to stone will cause pain. Although you love them, they'll stop you just the same. You can ask them, please, 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 beg, and all your love is empty. But they'll say no, 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 your daddy know. I thought you knew. Hearts made of hearts made of stone will never break for the love you ever lived. They just one day you can ask them, please, 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 beg, and all your love is empty. But they'll say no, 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 your daddy know. I thought you
#1 record of January 1955, Hearts of Stone by Otis Williams and the Charms. Before they were a hit, they were just a bunch of kids playing softball in a vacant lot across the road from King Records in Cincinnati. Sid Nathan, president of the company, auditioned the kids, found they could sing, and just like that, they had a hit. Hearts of Stone set the pace in '55 for a new brand of pop music. Adults found it obscene, obnoxious, and intolerable. Record companies controlled by aging executives who found no sympathy or rapport with what they termed raucous and rebellious chose to ignore it, leaving the door wide open for smaller independent record companies. One of them walked right in with what was to be the first R&B hit to make it on the pop charts on a national level, a Jesse Belvin song that is still one of the most played, most sought-after records ever.
Earth angel, will you be mine, my darling dear? Love you all the time. I'm just a fool in love with you. Earth angel, the one I adore. Love you forever and evermore. I'm just a fool in love with you. I fell for you, and I knew the vision of your loveliness. I hope and I pray that someday I'll be the vision of your happiness. Oh, earth angel, please be mine, my darling dear. Love you all the time. I'm just a fool in love with you. I fell for you, and I knew the vision of your loveliness. I hope and pray that someday that I'll be the vision of your happiness. Earth angel, please be mine, my darling dear. Love you all the time. I'm just a fool in love with you.
The Penguins, named after the character on cool cigarette packages, turned Earth Angel into a major hit. But it was the Crew Cuts who cashed in on the song by releasing a cover version. That is, the same song, but done the way the group covering it would do it, the way they knew pop stations would accept and play it. This covering practice had been going on for some time now and was all quite legal and acceptable to everyone, excepting, of course, the scores of black artists who could only sit helplessly by and watch their songs make money for someone else. They may not have realized it at the time, but without those cover versions popping up on the pop charts, black R&B might never have gotten the exposure it needed to bring about the rock revolution. One of the most successful cover artists of the 50s was Pat Boone.
If you weren't active in the music business during that time, you'd think maybe somebody was ripping somebody off, but that wasn't the case, because rock and roll was not accepted, and rhythm and blues was certainly not accepted in the 53 to 56 period. It was new. Rock and roll was new. I made my first record in 1955.
He may have been considered a goody two-shoes by hardcore rock fans, but they have him to thank for speeding up the process that brought rock and roll to the front.
When the head of the record company called me, I was living in Denton, Texas, going to school at North Texas State, and he said, I want you to meet me in Chicago. I think I found a hit song, thing called Two Hearts, Two Kisses. Well, I immediately thought of some pretty ballad because I'd been a Perry Como fan and a Bing Crosby fan, and I thought, and that's the kind of songs I'd sung. So I asked him to play me a little bit of it over the phone, you know, just to give me a hint as to what kind of thing I was going to record for my first time out. And he put on this little record by the Charms, an R&B group, and I heard him saying, one heart's not enough, baby. Two hearts will make you feel crazy. One kiss will make you feel so nice. Two kisses take you to paradise. Two hearts, two kisses make one love. And I when Randy lifted up the phone away from the record, he said, what do you think? I said, what was that? He said, that's rock and roll, man. And I'd heard a couple of records by the Crew Cuts, and but it was brand new, and it wasn't accepted on most of the top 40 middle-of-the-road stations. So I went to Chicago, and I recorded this song, Two Hearts, and it became a top 10 record.
One heart's not enough, baby. Two hearts make you feel crazy. One kiss makes you feel so nice. Two kisses put you in paradise. Two hearts, two kisses make one love. Two hearts beat as one, dear. Two arms make me know that you care. I have plenty of loving. Your kiss is hotter than an oven. Two hearts, two kisses make one love. Loving you, baby, is my desire. I know that you could set this world afire. A little spark is burning deep inside. Love should be made by two. One heart's not enough, baby. Two hearts make you feel crazy. One kiss makes you feel so nice. Two kisses put you in paradise. Two hearts, two kisses make one love. Loving you, baby, is my desire. I know that you could set this world afire. A little spark is burning deep inside. Love should be made by two. One heart's not enough, baby. Two hearts make you feel crazy. One kiss makes you feel so nice. Two kisses put you in paradise. Two hearts, two kisses make one love. Two hearts, two kisses make one love.
Notwithstanding the success independent record companies were enjoying, the majors continued to denounce rock and roll. It was dirty and would never last. They developed the slogan, Keep Pop Alive in 55, plastering it everywhere, alerting the parents that their kids were spending their money foolishly. In spite of it, or because of it, the teenagers continued to seek out the new music. Artists like Laverne Baker continued to supply it.
Tweedle, tweedle, dee. I'm as happy as can be. Jiminy Cricket, Jiminy Jack, you make my heart go clickety-clack. Tweedle, 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 dee. Tweedle, 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 dot. How you gonna keep that honey you got?
that money can buy. Tweedly, tweedly, tweedly down. Oh, tweedly, tweedly, tweedly down. Oh, tweedly, tweedly down.
Little Miss Sharecropper, the gal who cut her musical teeth in a Baptist church choir. The gal who taught Johnny Ray how to sing the blues. Laverne Baker, with one of the top records of 1955. Georgia Gibbs released the same song at the same time, and both versions were hits.
Strange as it may seem, I used to be a little jive fighter, you know, and it was beginning to look pretty good for me, but I preferred another type of entertainment, in other words, entertaining the people. So I got started on beating and banging on my axe a little bit more, and so up popped Bo Diddley.
So listen beside, baby, diamond ring. If that diamond ring don't shine, he gonna take it to a private eye. If that private eye can't see, he better not take the ring from me. Oh, dearly call her nanny goat to make a pretty baby a Sunday coat. Oh, dearly call her bell cat to make a pretty baby a Sunday hat. Motor come to my house and black that bone. I take my baby away from home. Mother that photo where they been. Up to your house and gone again. Bo diddly, have you heard? My bird baby said she wasn't bird.
Bo Diddley was both the man and the song, an all-time rock classic, inspiring scores of future superstars. He was the man with a mean guitar, the man you think of when you think of early rock and roll. In the same breath, you gotta mention Fats Domino, one-man hit parade all through the 50s.
You made me cry when you said goodbye. Ain't that a shame? My tears feel like rain. Ain't that a shame? You're the one to blame. You broke my heart when you said we'll part. Ain't that a shame? My tears feel like rain. Ain't that a shame? You're the one to blame. Oh well, goodbye. Although I'll cry, ain't that a shame? My tears feel like rain. Ain't that a shame? You're the one to blame. cry. Ain't that a shame? My tears feel like rain. Ain't that a shame? You're the one to blame.
I remember the record company, and Peter record company called me and said, "Boy, you gonna make something in now?" He said, "Your record going pop." I know what he was talking about. I said, "What you mean, but pop?" He said, "I mean all the stations and pick your record. Ain't that a shame?" I wrote that in 1954, and that's when it got started. All the stations started playing my record from then on.
Fats Domino was rock and roll before rock and roll ever was. He was the man to copy, and everybody gave it a try, including Pat Boone.
I recorded Ain't That a Shame and did my very best to get the same flavor and feeling that Fats had on his record, except I wanted you to be able to hear the words. Now, I thought I was going to get kicked out of school. I transferred to Columbia University. I was majoring in English, and I was recording this song, Ain't That a Shame. And I tried at first to change the words to Isn't That a Shame, and it just didn't work. I mean, it didn't fit with the beat, you know. It just didn't fit. That would have ruined the whole thing. So I went ahead and said, well, if this knocks me out of my English class at Columbia University, well, it'll have to be, because I really felt this was a hit. And it was.
You made me cry when you said goodbye. Ain't that a shame? My tears fell like rain. Ain't that a shame? You're the one to blame. You broke my heart when you said we'll part. Ain't that